God dwells not only uniquely and in a special covenantal way, making earthly places holy. You know, we've spoken of Eden and Mount Ararat, certainly Mount Sinai, certainly Mount Zion on earth. But God dwells uniquely and permanently in a special way in heaven. One text that I'll just that if you could read, Cameron, it'd be nice. Isaiah 66:1 is kind of a programmatic text that makes this distinction between the dwelling of God in heaven and his relation to the earth.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. One you deal with in Foundations of Covenant Theology. Isaiah 66:1, thus says the Lord, heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. What is the house that you would build for me, and what is the place of my rest?
Yeah, that place of rest language is an allusion to Genesis 2:2, so that you could think of it in Isaiah 66:1 as he's saying, look, if you build an earthly place for me, that earthly place is not the final resting place for me. Where is that final resting place? It is my Sabbath enthronement, Genesis 2:2, Hebrews 4:4, where a Sabbath rest continues to this day for me in my heavenly Sabbath temple realm. Heaven is my throne. This is, for instance, in Colossians 3:1 and Hebrews 8:1. What does it say? Seek those things above if you've been raised with Christ, where Christ is seated at God's right hand. Hebrews 1:3, Hebrews 8:1, at the throne of the majesty on high. And so what that text brings into view is that heaven becomes the unique and permanent dwelling place of God, the holy temple dwelling where his glory abides forever, and to which those earthly holy places are types, shadows, and in one way or another, replicas. Where God's glory will dwell for a time in Eden and then depart. God's glory will dwell for a time in the earthly temple and then depart. But the glory of God does not depart from that heavenly temple, and all things on earth are moving toward being brought into that heaven, where there's a reconciliation, Colossians 1:20, between all things in heaven and on earth, where the righteous and the righteous who are on the earth are brought to, in language of Hebrews 12:22, brought to heavenly Mount Zion. And so the point is that the heaven, the highest heaven, 1:6, is the place where God's glory dwells in that original, primal, unique way. And in the language of Nehemiah 9:6, remember, the angels, the heavenly host, worship the Lord in that holy realm. And so the question is that where God is restricted? Of course not. We've already seen he fills all things in heaven on earth. But this is a reminder that those provisional earthly dwelling places are types, shadows, and replicas of that abiding heavenly dwelling place where Christ has ascended. And we don't talk about it often, but there is a there is no way that heaven somehow restricts God to that location. That's so. Once again, Voss is wanting us to see his immensity and his omnipresence, and the unique dwelling of God in heaven, which is his throne room and temple dwelling place. That not that just as the earth doesn't contain him, neither does the invisible heaven.
Right. That's always the thought, especially for young people, children as they're coming to learn. The tendency can be to think, oh, well, heaven is the place where God has always existed. Well, the Lord created the heavens and the earth, not just the sky, but even the invisible heavens. So heaven is a place too, creation. And prior to God creating, nothing existed other than God himself. But then the other tendency can be to think of, well, heaven is where God is, hell is where God isn't. And that's why you don't want to go to hell, because the Lord won't be there and it'll be horrible. Well, God's present in hell too, because hell's a place and God's omnipresent. But look at these two places. Consider the new heavens and the new earth, and we consider the fiery pit of destruction. Well, why are those different if God is present in both places? Well, God is present in different ways, and he's doing different things in those places with the people that are in those locations.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the ultimate relation of God to his people in the new heavens and new earth is that of blessing. The ultimate relation of God to those in the abyss in hell is cursing. But God is present equally, but it is the ultimate fruition of the dual sanctions of the covenant.